Guys, I finally did it. I got a copy of Yokai Watch. I got a copy of Yokai Watch. I got a copy of Yokai Watch. Let's open it up. It's empty. Got a copy of Yokai Watch. It's gotta be in this one. Let's talk about why Yokai Watch failed here in the West. What is going on, everyone? It's me, Ty, here, and yeah, today I want to go over why Yokai Watch failed here in North America, the West. In Japan, I just want to get this out of the way. In Japan, it had a pretty good run. I could be wrong. It's harder to kind of find all this information, but the franchise as a whole has kind of been MIA at the least, everywhere, not just here. That's from my whole understanding of research gathering. Before I get into it, I want to say thanks for the support. Appreciate it a ton. Make that part really short. If you want to join the community, Discord in the description below. But yeah, let's just start from the top. Yokai Watch wasn't a failure from the start. I mean, here in North America, again, clarifying, this will all be North America, so I won't be saying that a trillion times throughout the video. So making that clear. Yokai Watch 1 wasn't a total failure here. I believe it did pretty good. I wish I wrote the number down. It did pretty good here. Obviously good enough to warrant the sequel coming here. Now, specifically in Japan, it did very good after the anime came out. And that's kind of a segue. In Japan, the series succeeded because of the anime, really. And it quickly gained the title of Pokemon Killer. Pokemon Killer, if you do not know, has like anything that's labeled this is like with Nickelodeon All Stars Brawl, it was labeled a Smash Killer. Did horribly, but wasn't enough to kill Smash. And then Temtem, another game that's like Pokemon, was quickly dubbed the Pokemon Killer. Didn't do very well. It did all right, but it definitely was not a Pokemon Killer. So that's always a bad sign. I don't think the intention was ever to compete with Pokemon. Things can exist side by side. It's fair to draw comparisons, but I don't think I ever wanted to be like, oh, we're gonna destroy Pokemon. No. But going back to that, the anime here was not handled very well. It was done by Disney. Actually, Disney's old network. I don't know if it's still on or not, but Disney XD. They handled a lot of it, and it never finished here. Apparently, it did not get a lot of views either, or at least how much they hoped. It only got about half of what Japan's episodes were able to release or to reach at like low numbers, from my understanding. But that's kind of one side of the marketing. Marketing expands from not just advertisements, but also pretty much, in my opinion, basically everything but the game itself. Another thing that was mishandled, and we'll jump into deeper reasons aside from just marketing, but marketing does play a huge role into this. The toys were not, you can look it up online. There's people discussing like the toys not being very well distributed and such. I guess to me, it almost seems like a perfect recipe for what Yokai Watch is. A lot of like toys right now, especially there's a lot of blind box toys. If you ever walk down a toy aisle, you probably tell. Lots of blind box toys, lots of collect all these creature type things. That's a little less popular, I believe, now, but definitely still popular. But Yokai Watch should have done great. It had all these little collectible medals that had all the creatures on them, the actual yokai medallions. It should have been a great recipe for success, and sadly it didn't. And I think part of it is because nobody really knew what it was, and it's hard to give that type of thing a chance. The thing is, these were like totally random creatures. Granted, a lot of these like collectible small things, like what things I'm thinking about is like, I can't think of what they're called. They're like trash pack kids. No, not garbage pail kids, but there's like these little miniature squishy guys that are like all like trash themed, and that's something you can recognize. Like, part of the problem is these things weren't recognizable. They were just random creatures like cat and a ghost to people that outside of the game. And the toys ended like 3 years after they came out, 2017 I believe, which was around the time where the series starts falling quicker here in North America. But going back to the very beginning, so to recap, that toys kind of failed, the anime kind of failed, so a lot of external marketing for what is pretty much, I mean, anyone can enjoy the game obviously, but you know, a big market to capitalize on is children entertainment, and that's kind of what Yokai Watch is. It's not a hardcore thing. It in terms, it is like Pokemon in the type of theming it is. Everyone should be able to like it. Definite target demographic for a lot of stuff is children. So Yokai Watch 1, it did all right here for a new IP. I believe it sold 500,000. I could be wrong. I'm putting a number out there. If I remember, I'll put a corrected number somewhere. It could be more, it could be less, but I'm pretty sure it was a pretty good number. The sequel, though, is where things, I think, start to fall off. But in between the first and second one, I think one thing that a lot of people were turned off by was that it looked similar to Pokemon. A lot of like the idea of collecting these creatures and then using them for battle, here in North America, yeah, everyone's gonna point to Pokemon. That's the only relatability Yokai Watch really has here. For those that don't know, yokai are like an actual piece of Japanese culture. I'm not gonna sit here and like act like I know, everything about it, but from my understanding, it's similar to in the games where there's like these ghost-like creatures and they cause mischief. In the games, it's a lot more tame, obviously, but it's a similar concept. We don't really relate to that here. I mean, yokai is not really, it's not really a thing. It's just not. I mean, I don't have any other way to put it other than it doesn't really exist in many cultures here. Obviously, there's people that have it in their own culture, but it's not as big of a piece of the North American culture and the West in general, honestly. Hopefully I'm not totally wrong on that, but pretty confident. Going on off of that, so we kind of lack the relatability, and I think that harms it because people want to compare things. It's just a natural thing. We compare each other to, we compare ourselves to each other, and we compare a lot of things to each other. It's just a common thing to do, to want to do. And with the lack of relatability, I think comparing it to Pokemon sets up expectations, and it also sets up, like, I guess, not wanting to play things because it looks too similar. I haven't finished the first one. I would really like to finish this whole series, but I can say that it is not Pokemon. I mean, yeah, it has a collecting aspect, but the whole way you go about it is different, and the battles are different. Everything about it's pretty different except for collecting creatures. Now we'll finally move on to the second game. The second game went up against Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I really do not think I need to say more. I believe it was Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon. I'm doing a quick Google search while I'm talking real quick, but the second game came out in 2017. No, 2016. Bony Spirits and Fleshy Souls were the first of the two games. Yes, okay, 2017. They both came out around 2017 of November. If I'm not mistaken. No. What? I'm losing my mind, guys. Sorry. This is live tie reaction. Okay, it was Sun and Moon. Sun and Moon? Sun and Moon? What? Yes, okay. That was giving me a lot of trouble to find. Sorry about that. Yes, Yokai Watch 2 Bony Spirits and Fleshy Souls came out September 30th, 2016, and 3 weeks later, Sun and Moon come out, which were like big Pokemon moments for the franchise. They totally changed up like how the games progress. So not good here when your game is already being compared to, well, the game that's about to come out and is about to do a huge shakeup. I got a little squishy pig in my hand. I just had to note that. So when your game is coming out next to a game you're being compared to in a negative way, probably not a great recipe for success, and it didn't do very great here. It having two versions definitely didn't at launch definitely did not help this comparison of it being a Pokemon clone. Pokemon is very much well known for releasing two versions. I mean, literally Sun and Moon. So definitely didn't help break that stigma, and it seemed like no matter how you would advertise that, there is no way of breaking that. And I really do think that Nintendo could have stepped in. This franchise could have been so much bigger than it was here. I think if Nintendo had stepped in and like tried to do something to break this whole idea that this was a Pokemon ripoff, maybe it would have done better. But you know, Nintendo only published it. Level 5 is the studio that made it. You know, a lot of that falls on them to like break that idea, and it didn't. But I do think had Nintendo stepped in to do more, maybe this could have like just really broadened it. I mean, Nintendo had some advertisement for it that wasn't very good either. It made it like really childish. You can look some of them up still, actually. It's kind of bad, but I digress from that. So yeah, it just going up against a big Pokemon game and having two versions just did not help. And then, you know, where a lot of 3DS collectors know when the games actually start getting really expensive is starting at Yokai Watch 2 Psychic Spectres, a third version for a sequel that didn't sell well. It also gets a low amount of printing. Like they seem to start doing these games printing only to pre-orders. The advertisements really fall off from here. I mean, you can look it up, like, and compare it to Yokai Watch 1 and 2 advertisements. Like, Psychic Spectres didn't get a lot of advertising. Yokai Watch 3 doesn't get a lot of advertising. And I swear, I think there's only like 2 advertisements for Yokai Watch Blasters. All these games have, that I just listed, have the red Nintendo spine, and that's really where the 3DS in general started to fall off. Some of these games released under the Switch's life cycle, so it doesn't help. Yokai Watch 3 and Yokai Watch Blasters, I believe, released under the Switch's life cycle. Yokai Watch 3, now, I struggle to find a number because they definitely don't have it out there, but the only number I could find was saying that there was 4,000 units sold for Yokai Watch 3, And part of me isn't really sure if that's true or not. I'm sure at some point it was true. I'm sure it's a little more than 4,000, but it could explain why there's so many sealed copies of this game going around, because they didn't sell a lot at launch, and so people, like, when they liquidate these games, people buy the sealed ones, they hold on to them, and they sell them. So that's probably why there's a lot of sealed ones out there, maybe. It didn't sell all its low prints anyways, because nobody was really buying it. I don't know. This game, though, it is worth noting that it has a huge cult following. It kind of had a cult following from the beginning, and I know that's not really how cult followings work, but there was a very dedicated fan base, and still is. Yokai Watch 4 kind of failed for similar reasons, or Yokai Watch 3, excuse me, failed for similar reasons. It was not advertised, like, at all. Toy line was pretty much dead. Anime was dead here. You know, there's not a ton to do. You know, not a lot you can do when it's like the whole marketing. The ways of marketing is so important, and all the ways of marketing are just shut off. It's like, how do you let people know about your game? And it's sad because Yokai Watch 3 is like the most interesting one to me. It's like the first game to like introduce regions, kind of, where you go to, well, I believe here it was localized to moving to like the south in the United States, but in Japan it was like moving from Japan, because that's where the world is. It has like actual Japanese infrastructure that we don't really have here in America, like the ways the towns are set up and all that. But then, so in the original idea was that moving from Japan to the United States, and all the yokai here, like Western themed, like not like Wild West themed, but like actual United States and just the West's culture in general. And I think, sorry, I got allergies out, and I think that was a very cool idea, and I think introducing regions, kind of like, not groundbreaking obviously, but could have really just expanded what could have been something greater. And sadly, Yokai Watch 4, when it came out of Japan, it was the worst selling one in Japan. Level 5 shut down its North American division, so we never got a localization. There was a lot of dedicated Yokai Watch fans that bought it on this because it was released on the Switch, which is something that I think could have helped Yokai Watch 3, because it released in the Switch's life cycle. Had it released on Switch, maybe more people would have noticed it. There was a period of time where pretty much anything with a Switch logo was selling, so who knows. Yokai Watch 4 Japan, people downloaded digitally here, with no English translation. The English studio here shuts down, no localization. It's dead. It's officially it's dead here. Viz Media, I believe, owns like the license for some of the manga here. I don't know if they've ever put any of it out or all of it out. They probably won't. Maybe this whole Nintendo 3DS closure, maybe somehow magically we'll get more Yokai Watch content. They even did a remake of Yokai Watch 1 on the Nintendo Switch and PlayStation 4, and that couldn't save it. It lost popularity everywhere, really, and that's pretty sad, because I think that this series, it's weird how this series died in two places for basically opposite reasons. I feel pretty confident saying here it died to a lack of marketing, a lack of appropriate marketing, and in Japan it died from oversaturation. This stuff was everywhere in Japan for a while. It was crazy. That's like the kind of the tip of the iceberg, I know. I mean, it even had Final Fantasy crossovers. It had I mean, it had Hello Kitty crossovers on the mobile app. It had a lot of crossovers. It was a very noticeable thing. Like, brands were okay being side by side with this. And sadly, it's pretty much dead. It was a very cool idea. Quickly labeled the Pokemon killer. Was never trying to, I don't think. I think they wanted to make something out of Japanese culture. They succeeded in it. It was a very nice, cool concept. You know, it has a lot of things people like. It has creatures and it's collectible, and it's cute, and it's a video game. I recently asked on YouTube community subscribe if you aren't, where you can see my community posts, and I'll put it up on screen here in a second. But I asked in a community post why people didn't play it, and if I can find it here, here we go. We'll shrink me a little bit. Oops. Shrink. Here we are. So, zoom in a little bit. I'll move myself over a little bit. So yeah, here we are. So I asked, if you never played Yokai Watch, why? Collecting data for a possible video. And obvious, it looked like a Pokemon ripoff. This was, and I know it says only has 4 likes. I think it said it had 100 votes on my stats thing. I can see that, which is pretty cool, but I digress. The 20% said didn't understand what it was and didn't know it was a thing, was 15%. So, like I said, it kind of checks off, these 3 kind of check off all of my points in this video. Pokemon ripoff, advertising failed to tell you what it was, and advertising failed reaching people. Didn't know it was a thing. Played for 40 minutes. It was pretty fun. I don't know. I'm going to pick it up again. I'm going to pick it up again too. Played Yokai Watch. I got as I hear Pokemon was not innovative enough for several years. It was also a big trend during the 3DS days, kind of relic of its time. This is like honestly the opposite, I guess, of what I hear. Like, to me, a lot of people are saying like Pokemon kind of screwed over the release of the second game here because Pokemon was going through a big innovative cycle. For you and Bo Talks Media, never heard of the series. I don't think. Now I have 2 sealed copies of the first title. When I used to play 3DS back in 2014, didn't work, so I couldn't buy as many games as I wanted to. Parents could only afford 1 game at a time, so I always chose Pokemon, but Yokai games look nice to me. My game backlog is too big. I don't want to look at new franchises until I'm caught up on more stuff I'm interested in first. That look a little too easy and childish. I would agree that they did that. I heard the combat is automated and I find this boring. I guess I could see that from what I played. Just felt indifferent to it based on trailers. Just looked boring. So there you kind of have it. I mean, I know it's not like this isn't scientific data, but I do feel this could accurately describe a greater range of people. I find it interesting that like the most voted things were the things that kind of made the point of the video. I know obviously had I put more options, but there's not really a ton of other options when this is a lot where the criticism of this game falls into, so I didn't really have anything else to put to see like if there's other reasons. That's why I had other reply. There's a couple replies saying it looked boring. Like, yeah, I saw it and it looked boring, which is another kind of, it ties back into the advertising being bad. To advertise a product, you're trying to make it not look boring, and they didn't do a very good job. But that all being said, thank you for sticking around to this very long video where I kind of just rambled, talk about all the reasons, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something today. If you did learn something, congrats. I did my job. But until next time, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll see you all when I finish Yokai Watch 1. Just kidding. I will finish that though. I will, but See you next time.